Hi, my name is Rachel, and thank you so much for joining this free webinar. I really appreciate your time, and I promise I'll make it worth your while. The purpose of this webinar is to share my most important secrets, which allowed me to win international acclaim for my films, including 2 Directors Guild of America awards, and achieve my dream job of directing films professionally in Los Angeles. You can be an absolute beginner or an already established professional. I think that the secrets you'll learn in this webinar will help you deepen your understanding of the craft of directing so that you can put your personal stamp on anything that you make and distinguish your filmmaking above others in the film industry. Right now, I'm going to give you 11 secrets that allowed me to create awesome movies and win over 10 international film awards. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to share another 5 secrets with you on film industry tips that I learned from my last decade of directing. These are tips that I wish I knew when I was first beginning, so make sure you stick around until the end. If after the webinar you decide to enroll in my course, Visual Storytelling at Solaris Film School, then I have great news for you. I'm going to offer you a special surprise just as a thank you for investing your time and watching this webinar. All right, let's jump right in. So, my visual storytelling course is designed for those who really want to seriously master the directing craft and succeed in filmmaking professionally. So, first let me introduce myself. My name is Rachel Bass, and I didn't major in film in college. I went to Amherst College, which is a prestigious liberal arts school nestled in the forests of Massachusetts, and I majored in Black Studies. I'm glad I took this route personally because one of my earliest mentors said that as a director, if all you have to bring to film is film, then you have nothing to say. Film is just the medium. First, you have to find your story and find your voice. So I was the first student at Amherst to direct a narrative film for my thesis, and it won first place in the region's biggest film festival, and I graduated with honors. I believe that my voice as a director was so strong out the gate because I went on a journey to find myself apart from film first. So when I came back to film, my films had perspective and were a lot richer. Then, after college, I pursued film directly in grad school. So I got my MFA in directing from Chapman University, a top 10 film school, and I'm now a working director in Los Angeles, an assistant to a famous television director, and an instructor at Chapman, where I've taught visual storytelling for several years. So, parallel to my studies, I worked in Chapman admissions, where I watched several hundred application films. I was a film festival judge and an instructor at Chapman's Summer Film Academy, which is a rigorous film intensive that taught students hand-on production and industry standard set protocol. I won my first Directors Guild of America award for a film that I made my first year at Chapman, and my second DGA award for my senior thesis film called Thicker Than Water. It won first place for Best African American Film in the country. So since graduating, my films have won awards internationally, and I now write and direct films professionally in Los Angeles, and I'm an instructor at a top 10 film school, and I'm the personal assistant to a prominent television director. All right, so now I'm going to share with you my 11 secrets on how to create awesome movies and an extra 5 tips on how to make it in the film industry. Secret number 1. As filmmakers, we put a lot of thought into what goes into the script. But did you know that you can influence how an audience member feels about a character just by where they're placed in your frame and the direction in which they're moving? So fun fact, 4/5 of the information going into our brains comes through our eyes. So the way our eyes feel affects how we process that information. If our eyes are uncomfortable looking at a character in the frame or in the direction that they're moving, we are going to project those negative feelings onto the character without knowing it. Same goes for when our eyes feel more comfortable. How we feel physically affects us emotionally, and you can use screen discomfort to subconsciously influence the audience's impressions of characters and objects in the frame. Magic. That's why I, together with the Solaris Film School, created a course on visual storytelling in order to help you more quickly and better understand the relationship between our eyes and the story on the screen, so that we can elicit a desired emotional response from the audience subliminally. Sometimes it's just about how you make their eyes feel. You don't need a mustache-twirling villain. Maybe you just need her to enter from screen right. All right, secret number 2. Don't give result-oriented directing. Examples of this type of directing are be more angry or be more intimidating. This is telling an actor an emotion to feel, and when you do this, you'll usually get a performance that's very generic, flat, and insincere. Actors are called actors, not feelers, and directors yell action and not feel for a reason. Give actors actions, things to do, and a desired emotion will be the natural result. Instead of be more angry, a better direction could be scold her. You want as much as you can to direct your actor's attention onto what they're trying to achieve in their scene partner. This is something that an actor can do. Strong direction should use verbs, should be simple and clear, and should be playable. To test whether an action is playable, I like to do a simple test. So I'll think, okay, can I order breakfast from this menu by using this verb? So order breakfast from the menu by blank, insert verb. Let's say the verb that I want to use is to refresh. So order breakfast from this menu by refreshing the waiter. That's not playable. How do you play that? If you're confused, then I promise you the actor will be too. Also, give a few directions at a time. If you see an actor play out a scene, for example, and you want to make 10 changes, don't bombard the actor with all 10 at once. Very tempting. Trust me, I understand. Personally, when this happens, I'm usually like, ah! Boom, 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 boom. Put everything out there at once. Bad idea. So, when you do this, actors are going to tune you out. Believe me, okay? Even as human beings, we have difficulty multitasking and doing multiple things at one time. Don't believe me? Now say the alphabet backwards in Pig Latin and do a cartwheel. See? Multitasking is hard, so just give out direction in pieces. You'll be able to give them all of the notes that you want, just sparse it out a little bit. In my course on visual storytelling at the Solaris Film School, we'll explore how to use actors' blocking and staging to give subtext to a scene and bring the text to life. Secret number 3. Clarity precedes emotion. If your story isn't clear to the audience, they can't participate emotionally. Strive to tell a clear story first and then build the emotional reality upon that strong foundation. If a viewer is thinking, wait a minute, how did she get from outside to there? Where are they not? They're not in your story. So make sure you are clear and then the audience can participate emotionally in your film. All right, moving on. Secret number 4. Make sure your cinematography is working with your staging and not against it. For example, say you want to show how far two characters in film have drifted from each other. In the final scene between them, you have them on different sides of a huge room. It's symbolic of the unbreachable emotional distance between them. So then you shoot the scene in mediums and close-ups. These shots don't capture geography, and the space between the characters can only be captured in a wider shot. So you designed this beautiful symbolic staging only to have the closer shots sabotage them because the audience will not be able to grasp your story. Every element of filmmaking should be telling the same story. Every single one. And if they're not, they make every other element weaker. All right, secret number 5. Chekhov's gun. So not having the gun go off, according to Chekhov, was called a false promise. So everything in a frame has meaning and tells story. Everything tells story. So make sure the expectations that you create in the viewer pay off. Strong directors always pay their debts. Okay, secret number 6. What we hear affects what we see. Take this for an example. Use sound design to create visuals in your viewer. So oftentimes, not showing something to the audience can actually be more effective because our imaginations can make mountains out of molehills and monsters out of a bump in the night. Our brains exaggerate. We imagine worst case scenarios, and we're inherently dramatic as human beings, and oftentimes overly so. So, using that element in film with sound can be far more mysterious and even frightening than anything you put in front of a viewer. They say, show, don't tell. You'll hear this a lot in film school or in the film world. Sometimes it's better to suggest and don't show. As a director, you can cause all sorts of fun mischief with sound. So, in my course at the Solaris Film School on visual storytelling, I'll tell you how to use sound design and how it can be used to explore story in greater detail. Secret number 7. Surprise and suspense are two different things. Alfred Hitchcock uses these two elements all the time in his films, and he had a really good story to demonstrate the difference between the two. So, if two people are sitting in a shop having coffee and talking about the weather, that is probably a very boring scene. Suddenly, though, a bomb goes off under the table. Ah, surprise! So, that's surprise. Suspense happens when we see a character put a bomb under the table at the beginning of the scene, and then we watch the two people meet to have coffee and talk about the weather. Suddenly, that conversation about the weather became a whole lot more interesting. All right, secret number 8. You only get one first impression of your character, so announce them. Don't just let them walk into a room and start speaking. We'll analyze in even more detail how to introduce your characters using subtext in my course Visual Storytelling at the Solaris Film School. All right, secret number 9. Production design affects behavior. It's tied actually very intricately with acting. So, I trained at an acting studio in Los Angeles, and during one class, I was performing a scene with my brother in the play. We were having an argument, and I was supposed to be very combative and angry, etc., etc. So, in the rehearsal space, the director staged the scene where we were sitting side by side on a cushioned living room couch. And as an actor, I found it very difficult to remain angry at my brother during the scene. And I couldn't really tell why, and the director couldn't really help me and explain why. So during a second rehearsal, fate would just have it. We couldn't get to the same rehearsal space, so we had to settle for a park. We performed the scene at a picnic table with benches on either side. And we were facing each other, me and the actor playing my brother, and the hard wood of the bench kept me erect, and it was far easier with this setup to channel my anger at my scene partner. For one, we were facing each other, which is a more confrontational stance instead of a more intimate side-by-side posture, and the hardness of the table actually helped me keep my body firm, unlike the soft couch, which was like absorbing my energy. So it was interesting to discover that it was easier to relentlessly rapid-fire accusations at him. Production design can help your actors, but from this example, it can also create unhelpful obstacles. So make sure the look works for your story, absolutely, but practically, the production design functions to enhance your actor's performance and not detract from it. And take acting classes. All right, so secret 10. A match cut is one of my personal favorite types of cuts. It's a cut between two shots that are compositionally similar in some way, and their similarities cause us to make a connection between these two shots. Sometimes the connection can be actually quite sophisticated and intricate, like these examples.
Anywhere within 300 miles of Medina, there are Hashemite Bedouins. They can cross 60 miles of desert in a day.
Oh, thanks, Dryden. This is going to be fun.
Lawrence, only two kinds of creature get fun in the desert. Bedouins and gods, and you're neither. Take it from me. For ordinary men, it's a burning, fiery furnace.
No, Dryden. It's going to be fun.
It is recognized that you have a funny sense of fun.
So in the first match cut from Lawrence of Arabia, the shots share similarities in color, so it creates the illusion that Peter O'Toole's character is blowing out the match into the hot desert, and it compares the heat of the desert directly to fire, which is part of the subject matter of the film. And let's not ignore the inside joke that David Lean created a match cut with a match. That's pretty cool. All right, so the second match cut from 2001: A Space Odyssey, in that one, Stanley Kubrick collapses 4 million years in a single cut, and he remarks on how drastically technology has changed in the span of time. And in the third cut, from Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock connects the dead woman's eye to the blood swirling down the drain. So he creates a very poetic visual representation of her life just draining from her. During my course, Visual Storytelling, we'll go over the 8 most powerful types of cuts and how to use them artistically to enhance your film. All right, secret number 11. Have you ever wondered why in myth films, doors and thresholds are always guarded by something? Whether it's a statue, monster, or a supernatural entity? Or why the One Ring in The Lord of the Rings was discovered underwater? Or why the Ents destroyed Isengard with a flood? Or how adding rain to your scenes can show you what a character's thinking? What about movement? Why do we say the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening? Why do we wake up instead of wake down? Why do we fall asleep instead of rise asleep? And how can we use this symbolism of on-screen movement to reach a viewer's subconscious mind? In my class, we'll explore the subconscious nudges of visual movement in more detail and how you can create subtext just by showing how a character or a shot is moving. So here are my 11 secrets for making your films and videos more professional and more rich and more dramatic. I hope you received some useful information today to help you improve on your projects. And before I share my 5 secrets on how to make a career in film, I want to note that during my course on visual storytelling, you'll have 18 hours of material supported by examples from the films that we all know and love, and you'll be able to study in detail all those aspects that we talked about in the first part of this webinar. You'll also have access to useful links and websites to free resources for filmmakers, lists of books and films to watch, and templates for budgets, call sheets, shot lists, and storyboards. In order to give you a more complete understanding of my course in visual storytelling, here are the 15 main blocks that we'll analyze together. We'll analyze theme and subtext, camera, introducing a character, how to start your films, visual motifs, point of view, editing, sound design, production design, costume design, acting, composition, myth and symbolism, 3-act structure, and set protocol. A few more words for those who want to sign up for the course right now. I'd like to repeat that my course on visual storytelling at Solaris Film School is suitable for you if you're just starting your career in the industry and if you've already created your films. You'll gain exclusive, useful, practical skills and learn how to implement them in your creative work. I also want to note that Solaris is not just a film school of the highest standard. It is also a community of like-minded people around the world, and you can find partners for co-creation and implementation of your projects. Therefore, I believe that my visual storytelling course at Solaris Film School is the best solution for you if you want to start or carry on with your successful career. You won't have to move to another country, spend years and thousands of dollars on your education, and most importantly, my course is the best solution for you if you want to master the fundamentals of the directing craft quickly, because I'll give you essential knowledge and tips. You'll receive everything you need to know in 12 intense webinars, which you can go through over the span of 1 month. And what's even more exciting, because you're really keen to learn and took all of this time to watch this webinar with me, I can give you a 50% discount. I think that tuition of this scale and quality is 10 times more expensive, and I personally spent over $100,000 and several years of my own education and life in order to be able to create this course for you and save you years and maybe decades of life and debt. Soul-crushing debt. So, if you don't like the course, Solaris Film School has a 2-week money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. So accept my offer. Apply for the visual storytelling course with a 50% discount and start learning now. I shared with you the knowledge which helped me to succeed in film, move to Los Angeles, win international awards, and achieve my dream job. I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. I hate the idea of a 9 to 5, and I just love being able to tell stories and teach what I've learned to other people. So if you have any questions about the course, you can write to us in the feedback form, which is located right below this video. All right, so now let's move on to the second part of this webinar, where I'll share with you 5 helpful film industry tips. Starting with tip number 1. Be the one with the solution, not the problem. There's a well-known law of bad luck in the film industry called Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law says that whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and when it does, it'll happen at the worst possible moment. Problems are inevitable. They'll always happen, guaranteed. But what will make you indispensable as a filmmaker is your ability to problem solve and be a problem-solving machine. My friend once let me in on his secret. So when he's on set as a script supervisor and spots a problem, before he brings it to the director, he'll think about 3 different solutions to the problem first. So when he goes to the director, he's not telling them that there's a problem, because anyone can do that. He tells them there's the problem, and then has 3 different solutions right after. He's always working. Directors love him. So, be a problem solver. Tip number 2. Spoiler alert, it's depressing. Tip number 2 is you're always fireable. Never get too comfortable. No matter how nice people are, no matter how comfortable you feel in a role, no matter how awesome you think you are. Always do the best that you can, but know that you're replaceable. There's always someone else who can do your job. So keep a good attitude, keep complaints and venting for wine night, and perform your job to the best of your ability, even if it's restocking craft services or mopping the floor. Everyone starts from the bottom, and your persistence will eventually pay off, I promise. All right, tip number 3. Don't be afraid to admit that you don't know. Your crew is more likely to trust you when you're self-aware and honest about your limitations, and know when to turn to experts when needed. It's counterintuitive and it goes against your ego, but trust me, it's true. A film set is a group of specializations, experts in very specific fields, and all of them are trying to make the best possible movie. So as the director, trying to pretend that you're the best at every single thing, or at worst, pretend that you know something that you don't, it only creates distrust and people will lose respect for you very, very quickly. And respect, once lost, is very hard to build back in this industry. No one knows everything. That's why you need a crew. And it's okay. So my course on visual storytelling at Solaris Film School is the best solution for you if you want to succeed in life and achieve your dream. It's the first step. You don't need much to take this step. You can, of course, move to Los Angeles, go to film school, and pay a mortifyingly large sum of money for it. Or, if you have no money, you can watch videos on YouTube for free. In the first case, you'll lose way too much money, and in the second, too much time. And the main problem is that you won't have the support in a professional community around you. Networking is a very important factor to be successful in the industry. And in the Solaris course, you'll be surrounded by the same motivated and inspiring people from all over the world. And you'll find friends and partners and crew members and collaborators, and this, of course, will help you succeed much faster. So, speaking of relationships, let's move on to tip number 4. Relationships are everything, and a connection can come from anywhere. Be respectful to everyone, from the janitor to the secretary. No one is more valuable than anyone else. You never know who knows who, and most doors that open in film come through the most unlikely sources. Be a good person. All right, tip number 5. Kill your ego. Destroy it. Being a director is not about being right all the time. It's about creating an environment where good ideas can thrive. Sometimes your crew will have better ideas than you. Encourage that. You have the final say. Okay? But you don't have a monopoly on good ideas. If you shut them down because of your ego, your film will suffer. I promise you, I guarantee it, your film will suffer. Your story should have the biggest ego, and a good idea can come from anywhere. When Ed Catmull, the co-founder of Pixar, was asked how the company kept coming up with fun, creative, inspiring movies for kids, all box office successes for 3 decades, he said, and I quote, "If you give a good idea to a mediocre team, they'll screw it up. If you give a mediocre idea to a brilliant team, they'll either fix it or throw it away and come up with something better." The legendary King Arthur surrounded himself with knights who could fight better than he could. If King Arthur can check his ego, you can too. All right, there it is from A to Z. These are the 5 tips that I learned over my years making films, and they help me succeed in the film industry and create lasting relationships with other filmmakers that have led to job opportunities for me. I'll share this knowledge that I gained with you in my visual storytelling course at Solaris Film School. That's why I created this course, to save you unnecessary frustrations, help you save tens of thousands of dollars, and years of your life. I wish you good luck. Believe in yourself. Learn. Be a forever student. Develop your professional connections. Build a portfolio, and I promise you, you will definitely succeed. All right, that's all for this webinar. I hope that you learned something that you didn't know before. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my visual storytelling course at the Solaris Film School. Take care.